Right, class. Welcome to PowerPoint for Module 3, Plasma Art Cutting. All right. Objectives. Explain plasma art cutting processes and identify related safety precautions. Identify and describe plasma art cutting equipment. Describe how to set up, safely operate, and care for plasma art cutting equipment. Performance tasks. Set up equipment, set the amperage and gas pressure and flow rates for the type and thickness of metal to be cut. Square cut metal using plasma, bevel cut, pierce and cut slots, and dismantle and store equipment. Okay, here's a couple of pictures here. One of a manual plasma cutter, another of a mechanized plasma cutter. That's just a straight line cutter down there. Okay, plasma art cutting cuts both ferrous and non-ferrous metals. It means it'll cut metals other than steel. So ferrous metals are steel, non-ferrous, stainless steel, aluminum, things of that nature. Produces minimal dross, creates a minimal heat affected zone, so it works really good for thinner materials, causes little or no distortion, and possesses high cutting speeds, and it produces a very narrow kerf. Okay, a plasma art cutting setup. The air or gas pressure blows the molten metal from the cut by the plasma torch flame that can reach 30,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This figure here just shows a basic plasma setup. So you have a torch, workpiece lead, and then the plasma cutter, and then it's fed by compressed air. Okay, the plasma art cutting process. Discharge starting using a pilot arc is the most common method of initializing the arc. The pilot arc is established inside the torch and then transferred to the workpiece. Okay, safety practices. Protective clothing. Safety glasses with a full face shield or welding helmet. Face shield or helmet must have the proper lens shade number for the task. For plasma cutting, properly tinted cutting goggles may be acceptable. Flame retardant clothing and welding gloves. High top safety shoes. Wear spats to cover exposed laces. Cap should be 100% cotton and hearing protections required. Okay, fire and explosive prevention. No matches or lighters in your pockets. Obtain hot work permits and establish fire watches. Never use oxygen as a pressure source for cleaning clothing or blowing off benches. Move all flammable materials away from the work area. Have a fire extinguisher nearby. Take care not to release flammable gases into the atmosphere. And be careful with hot metal. Do not assume a piece is cold. Take special precautions when cutting any sort of vessel. Work area ventilation. Look around. Are you in a confined space? Ensure all confined space requirements have been met and ventilation is sufficient and effective. Remember that various coatings and metals can release toxic or hazardous fumes. Use a respirator at all times. You are in doubt about air quality. Plasma art cutting equipment. This particular commercial unit requires 208 to 230 volt single phase power supply and 180 to 110 psi of clean compressed air. PAC torches. So these are just some basics on the torches. There's a drag cap, which enables you to cut and just drag along the material. The shielding cap just is a way to protect the tip from the material as well. This is the breakdown for this particular torch. The one we use is slightly different, but the parts are basically the same. You have an electrode, a retaining cup, and then the tip drag shield. So there's a little, there's a few differences with ours, but I'll show that to you as we get started. Okay, standoff guides. Okay, there's a couple different styles there. These torches here, actually, the one on the right matches what we have in the shop. The standoff guide helps to get the correct standoff to ensure a higher quality cut than just using a standard drag cup. The distance maintained between the tip and the workpiece is determined by the workpiece thickness. PAC gauges or gases. Note that compressed air is easily the best gas for cutting carbon steel. However, it is not recommended for stainless steel and aluminum. This chart's in your book and you can refer to it as far as what gases are best for different materials. Okay. If we look, air is the most economical, but the best quality cut, it differs. With steel, best quality cut is an oxygen air mix. Where our best quality cut comes with a mix of 35% hydrogen, 65% oxygen mix in the H35N2. Okay, gas controls make sure the regulator is the correct type for the gas in use. When internal cylinder pressure falls below the needed outlet pressure, the cylinder must be exchanged for another. Okay, setting up PAC equipment. Basic preparations match the equipment to the cutting task primarily by metal thickness and required volume of work. Make sure you have the power supply to support the equipment, and make sure you have the correct torch nozzle type and the necessary gases on hand. Do not, don the correct PPE, Don the correct PPE and set up welding curtains if needed. Preparing a gas cylinder, confirm gas type and secure cylinder, remove the cap. Wear proper PPE and stand to the opposite side away from the outlet. Rapidly crack open and then close the cylinder valve to blow any debris out. Connect the regulator and tighten. Make final connections from the regulator to the PAC equipment. Open the cylinder very slowly and read the cylinder pressure on the gauge. Set the regulator outlet pressure according to the PAC unit instructions. There is usually a range of acceptable pressures. A set near the middle of the range is generally acceptable. The pressure is further controlled by the PAC unit. Proper equipment storage. The job is not done until the equipment is properly secured. Okay, guys, cleanup is one of the most important things. We've got to make sure we clean up and put things away when we've completed our job. Okay, care of PAC equipment. Remember that clean, dry air and gas supplies are important to the equipment as well as the cutting results. Check torch shields for signs of damage, wear, or debris. Disassemble and inspect the inside of the torch nozzle assembly and ensure openings are clear. Replace worn or damaged electrodes and swirl rings per the manufacturer's guidance. Ensure any O-rings are undamaged and lubricated prior to reassembly. Drain air-water separator bowls in the unit. Very little moisture is generally captured from bottled gases. Clean and replace fouled air filters. Using the operation instructions for the PAC equipment to be used in the next session, determine what the proper settings for the machine should be for various metal thicknesses. For each workpiece thickness, how far should the torch tip be held away from the workpiece? Okay, lab performance, we'll work on that in lab. Remember, review the PowerPoint, complete the quiz and trade terms quiz, and prepare for the module exam.